This is way better than we thought. When the Ravens drafted Kyle Hamilton, they thought they were getting a franchise safety. 4 years later, they've built an entire defense around him, and heading into 2026, he might be the most valuable non-quarterback on the entire roster. Going into 2026, 2027, Kyle Hamilton is looking to have a very dominant defensive year due to the impact that he had on the team last year, but with returning pieces such as Justin Madubuike and other returning veterans, Kyle Hamilton is looking to get better during this upcoming season and elevate his game way more than it had been over the last 3 years. But Kyle Hamilton has already been producing at a very elite level, so I'm very excited to see what Kyle Hamilton can bring the Baltimore Ravens defense this entire season. But before we get into any of that, you guys are going to want to make sure to subscribe to Ravens Digest. We just hit 100 subscribers. We're on the road to 500 now. 90% of you guys are unsubscribed. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. It is completely free, no cost at all. And we're providing Ravens videos and updates every single day. You guys are not going to want to miss out on them at all. Now, specifically talking about Kyle Hamilton and taking it back to his Notre Dame years, Kyle Hamilton was one of the most concerning draft picks in 2022 in terms of him not being fully talented when it came to a speed perspective. NFL teams saw Kyle Hamilton lacking in speed, and they questioned if he had the range to be an elite NFL safety, which is why he unexpectedly fell to Baltimore at number 14, which was a steal for the Baltimore Ravens at this specific pick. Fast forward to today, the conversation is completely dead and thrown out of the window. Instead of talking about Kyle's 40-yard dash, people talk about whether he is the best safety in football consistently every single year. It is one of the biggest draft steals over the last decade, and Baltimore has nothing but trust over trusting the tape of Kyle Hamilton purely based than just testing the numbers of Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame looked like a very intriguing prospect, but the Baltimore Ravens have done nothing but elevate Kyle Hamilton's game to the maximum level and make it sure that Kyle Hamilton can produce and have an impact on the defense at the highest level of the game. Now, Kyle Hamilton, specifically in the last couple of years, he has not just been an elite safety as a whole. He's pretty much the centerpiece of the defense at that safety position, as we know that the Ravens have stars in multiple different positions, but Kyle Hamilton is one player who makes everybody else's job completely easier, especially from a safety perspective. His ability is able to line up anywhere. It allows the Ravens to disguise coverages until the last second of the play, and he confuses quarterbacks to the highest degree of personnel due to offenses not knowing what Kyle Hamilton's role is on a play-to-play basis. This is something that is very sure and unlikely in the NFL, and the Baltimore Ravens can provide this sense of defense due to what Kyle Hamilton can bring them from this multiple end position. Now, Kyle Hamilton isn't the only safety in the Baltimore Ravens room right now that is producing. The newest acquisition last season was Malachi Starks for the Baltimore Ravens, and Malachi Starks has a true impact on the game, but Malachi Starks is not what Kyle Hamilton can bring to the table. Now, when the Ravens drafted Malachi Starks, the immediate thought was that they have two great safeties. But the bigger picture of this aspect is that Malachi Starks allows Kyle Hamilton to stop worrying about being the deep safety in every single pass play scenario. Instead of this, Kyle Hamilton can attack the football, blitz, cover tight ends, and rotate in the slot all around to create chaos around the line of scrimmage. The Ravens didn't just draft Malachi Starks to simply replace Kyle Hamilton or minimize his role. It allows them to freelance with a two free safety and strong safety formation for both of these elite players to be able to produce at the highest level in that secondary. Now, as we know, Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks are two players who can really contribute in this side of the ball. But one of the most underrated factors going into this upcoming season is the coaching change that we know about with Jesse Minter. Now, Jesse Minter is going to bring something completely different to this defense in alignment with what he did in Los Angeles for the Chargers. Jesse Minter's defense has always relied on disguising coverages and making quarterbacks hesitate after the snap. Kyle Hamilton is the perfect player for this style of play because he can blitz, drop into coverage, rotate deep, and attack the quarterback, all without changing the personnel that is on the field at any given time. Expect Baltimore to be really aggressive this upcoming season with Kyle Hamilton this season due to them finally having depth in the secondary to allow him to freelance more often and be able to contribute in multiple areas of the field and not just in that strong safety nor free safety role. Now, as we know about, the Baltimore Ravens has produced multiple elite tier defenses over the course of the last couple of years. And obviously the biggest pieces surrounding this come with the emergence of the Ravens' biggest stars of all time in Ed Reed and Ray Lewis being able to contribute for the Baltimore Ravens at the highest level. For Baltimore, over the course of years, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs, and more recently Marlon Humphrey and Roquan Smith have been the identity for the Baltimore Ravens defense from a physicality standpoint. Heading into 2026, Kyle Hamilton is becoming the first player's opponent mentioned when it comes to preparing and prepping for the Baltimore Ravens on a week-to-week basis. Knowing what Kyle Hamilton is doing on the field is one of the most important things for NFL offenses to know due to the fact that Kyle Hamilton has so many roles, is very adaptable, and can disguise his coverages on multiple ends of the field, and which is why he is one of the most successful safeties all around. Kyle Hamilton as a whole is one of the biggest pieces for the Baltimore Ravens contributing in the current season. And if you only look at his interceptions, you're purely missing what makes Kyle Hamilton special as a player. He erases tight ends, the bigger tight ends, even the Darnell Washingtons of the Steelers, to be able to fill in lanes such as a linebacker. And he's a bigger sized physical safety. And due to this, he can hold quarterbacks and get the quarterback to hold on to the football just a little longer so that he can identify what his role is going to be on a play-to-play second. These extra seconds, especially with the additions of Trey Hendrickson and defensive pieces last year missing, such as Justin Madubuike, these mistakes don't show up under Hamilton's name due to the fact because of him and his ability to be able to contribute from this piece. Now, if we take a look at Kyle Hamilton in the last season and look at his stats from 2025, Kyle Hamilton's contributions on the field were one of the biggest topics for the Baltimore Ravens, as Kyle Hamilton was able to produce at some of the highest levels in the entire NFL from a defensive perspective. He led the league in a great amount of tackles of 105, top 20 in the league, and 59 solo tackles shows you how versatile Kyle Hamilton is on the field. Now, as we know, his interception total is severely low, but if you know Kyle Hamilton's game specifically, we know that Kyle Hamilton is a contributor in many other areas on the field and not just in a interception and pick six ratio type of player here. Now, Hamilton has already established himself as an elite defender. We completely know this due to how good Kyle Hamilton has been over the past couple of years. Now, with Kyle Hamilton going into 2026, 2027, as we talked about with Malachi taking more responsibilities from a deeper perspective, this will lead for Kyle Hamilton to have another breakout year, which I think could underratedly lead to him having a DPOY type of season. 100 plus tackles, 5 interceptions, 4 to 6 sacks, and double-digit numbers in pass breakups, as well as forced fumbles, are my predictions for Kyle Hamilton going into this upcoming season, based on his pure production and how Kyle Hamilton is so efficient in a defensive aspect. As we talked about with my prediction of him winning Defensive Player of the Year, I believe it is a very realistic goal for Kyle Hamilton. Defensive backs rarely win DPOY because they don't produce enough splash plays in multiple areas, but Kyle Hamilton is completely different because he contributes in multiple phases of the game as a whole. Hamilton fills the stat sheet in multiple different ways, and he'll absolutely, in my opinion, be in that MVP conversation DPOY conversation in December, and also be a top 3 player when it comes to this regard of being able to contribute at the highest level. Now, Kyle Hamilton could be regarded in the next couple of years as one of the best picks in Ravens history, as an entire list and trajectory that he is currently having in the past couple of years is something that is not usually done on the Baltimore Ravens on a yearly to yearly basis. If Kyle Hamilton earns another first-team All-Pro in 2026 and continues to lead one of the NFL's best defenses in the entire league, it is a huge statement considering the names that have wore purple and black throughout the years, and Kyle Hamilton could be on the trajectory to be one of the greatest safeties to play for the Baltimore Ravens, along with that discussion of the one and only Ed Reed. Now, going into this upcoming season, do you believe that Kyle Hamilton is a dark horse DPOY candidate going into the 2026-2027 season? Let me know down below. Type Y for yes if you believe that he is a dark horse candidate. Type N for no if you don't believe so. And let me know what your opinions are on Kyle Hamilton breaking off into this DPOY race and being able to contribute from this aspect of the game. The Baltimore Ravens thought that they drafted a Pro Bowl safety when Kyle Hamilton was emergent, and nothing is short in 2026 of 2027 that I don't believe we've seen the best version of Kyle Hamilton yet in multiple areas of the field. Kyle Hamilton, to me, is the best safety in football and could be the best defensive player in football going into this upcoming season. Let me know what you guys think regarding Kyle Hamilton, if you think he will have a great year in 2026-27 to lead that Baltimore Ravens defense into that new era of physical football that the Baltimore Ravens have been known for so many years. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to like, comment the video. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts on the Ravens situation as a whole, and we'll see you on the next episode of Ravens Digest.